Today I want to talk about company culture, and I've done lots of stuff on culture, but I want to use a metaphor of what some other companies are doing and how profound, measurably, company culture is. Because it's easy to sit up here and, wax all about how awesome company culture is and how important it is, but if you can't quantify it, it doesn't give you a compelling reason to pay attention to it. So I want to use the example of restaurants. And I have data here on restaurants and how much revenue they do per store, per location. And I think you'll find it interesting. And the reason why I think you'll find it interesting is because it might not be what you think. You're probably sitting there thinking, well, McDonald's is probably the biggest, right? And McDonald's, I think, from a total revenue perspective, likely is the biggest. But from a per store basis, McDonald's on average, if you take all their stores divided by the revenue, does $2.5 million in revenue per store, which is pretty good. To be considered a successful restaurant, you have to break the $1 million mark. And then when you get up into the $2 million mark, that's when you're like a stud. And then, any higher, even better. So McDonald's is $2.5 million per store. And that puts them at number 3. Number 2, which blew me away, is Krispy Kreme donuts. Who would have thunk? $2.57 million in revenue on average per store. Number 1 is Chick-Fil-A, $2.85 million per store. And if I go back down the list the other direction, you got Panera Bread at 2.47, Jason's Deli at 2.4, and I forget where it goes after that. Who cares? Top 5. But I want to go back to Chick-fil-A. Number 1, $2.85 million per store. You know what's fascinating about them? If you've never been to a Chick-fil-A and you don't know anything about Chick-fil-A, they're not open on Sundays. So they do more revenue per store than everybody else in one less day. That should be sitting there just slapping you across the face going, holy cow, how is that possible? To me, there's something in there I need to understand. How is it they can do more business than anybody else, be one of the fastest growing, and do it in less time? Because isn't that what all you doctors are sitting there wondering, and everybody in an office? You guys work 4 days a week. Wouldn't it be nice if you could, in 4 days a week, do the same amount of dentistry that a corporate dental office does in 6? And their secret sauce is their culture. It's not that in their business, it's not in their business model. Have you come up with your why yet? Or was this just some little exercise that we did over the lunch hour? Do you review your why? Do you talk about it? Have you hired anyone new to make sure they know your why? And if right now people are looking around at each other like, what's our why? Doctor, you might have a challenge in your culture. There needs to be clarity around what it is. And the vision, the mission, the values, all those things have to come from you. What is it you stand for? What is it you want to do? What is it you want to accomplish? Said another way, what's your legacy? The seemingly inconsequential things that make all the difference in the world. And in dentistry, if there's anybody who gets it, it's you. If your margin is open more than 50 microns, you have a problem. That seems seemingly inconsequential. 50 microns, what's that, 3 hairs? So if I have an open margin more than 3 hairs, it's a problem? But yet we don't take time and attention to pay attention to the small things that we do with our interactions with our patients. Why don't we? Maybe it's a culture issue. For Chick-fil-A, they were all about integrity, having trust, building trust, going against the cultural norms of closing down on Sundays. Sundays is apparently one of the busier days for fast food. I don't know that. I don't know the data. I don't live in the world. But apparently it's one of the busier days for fast food, and yet they chose not to. They're very generous. Their employees, they've created this entrepreneurial spirit for their employees. And they're given opportunities to buy franchises. They invest in foster homes. They provide scholarships. They do so much for their people to create that loyalty. And when they hire somebody, if they realize that person's not a good fit, they work hard to coach them through it, to try and train them to make it successful. Whereas the rest of corporate America just says, you're fired, kicks you out. These guys don't. Thus, they have a whole team. My guess, I've never been an employee of Chick-Fil-A, but my guess is if I go in there and I kind of work hard, but I'm not a good fit because I don't have the skills, my guess is the whole team, the whole organization rallies around a person. Have you ever had that happen to you? You know, it's just at this conference a couple weeks ago. And, you know, it was one of those things where if you graduated at this conference, all of a sudden the whole group came in, and, you know, small group out of this huge group, but this whole group came in and gave you a great big hug. Then they back up, and then the next person who graduated came in, then they all came in and give you a big hug. It really created this warmth, this belonging, this sense of worth for whoever it was. And it was interesting to see how it worked. As a result, for Chick-fil-A, they have a 95% retention rate of all their employees. It's just so interesting to see how they do it. Steady, slow growth, little debt, lean staff, private ownership. I mean, I could just keep going down this list. So my question is, as you look at your practice, does everybody know what you stand for? And I don't mean just your team, but do your patients know what you stand for? Do they have a clear understanding of what it is you're trying to do? I realize you're trying to fix their teeth, but I hope it's so much more than that. I hope you're trying to impact people's lives. I really hope you're trying to change them. I know that's mine. I mean, everybody knows my 4 reasons as to why I started my business. I wanted to reduce the stress of the owners by improving profitability. I wanted to help everybody get to retirement on their terms, not relying on Social Security. I want to help all the team members, all the other people in dentistry achieve more, and ultimately, all of that leading to, I want to change the whole dental industry. I want to change it so it becomes an area of optimism and energy and excitement about oral health and about health overall, rather than being, I hate my dentist. I try to avoid them. It's like pulling teeth to get me to the dentist. I don't want it to be that way. So my hope, my goal, my intent is to be a grassroots leader of all of this, to bring vim and vigor to dentistry, to bring excitement to dentistry. What's it for you in your practice? Do you have clarity around it? Does your team have clarity around it? Do your patients have clarity around it? Because if your patients have clarity around it, my guess is they'll talk to their friends and invite them to come in. If, by contrast, you can think of someone who would love some help like what we do, we'd love the introduction. We'd love to help them too. But all has to come from a spirit of serving. So what's your culture? Is it a spirit of serving? Is it just to make money? Is it just to fight insurance? Is it just to survive until you get to retirement? No judgment. Doesn't matter what it is. It's for you to decide. And it's for you to be proud of and share with others. Because at some point, someday, we'll all be standing looking at the casket up at the front of the room going, here lies somebody. And here's the impact they had. And it was either a pleasure to have known the person or whatever. Or, hey, when's the popcorn coming out? Whatever the case. I hope that your culture is something that you're excited about and that your whole team is excited about. I hope it's something that you brag about because you should. I hope it's something that your patients brag about for you. And I hope that we've done something that you're willing to brag about us too. And I hope you're happy enough, proud enough. I hope you're a raving fan of what we do as well, that you introduce us to somebody else. That being said, I hope you enjoyed the show. Can't wait to see you 8 o'clock Mountain, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Till then, have an awesome day. What if you could have the practice of your dreams? What's holding you back? Imagine a life where you have everything you ever wanted.